State your name, please.
Linda Brash.
And Linda, how did you come about with all your experiences with 3 Mile Island?
Well, I'm married to somebody that's on the radio, and so they were initially brought the information out to the public, and my husband wanted me to leave, and I was one of those people that thought the government wouldn't let anything happen to us, and so we went about our business on the Wednesday that we first learned about it, and that was the 28th. And basketball games in the evening with the radio station, and then come Friday morning, I was bowling, and all of a sudden the sirens were going off, and my husband had already left for out of state, and I needed to find out how to get out of this area because I was pregnant. And I had a young son who was at school at Grandview, which isn't there anymore. But anyway, I had friends from the radio station who came by and picked him up. And
Can I ask you which radio station? Linda?
WKBO.
And what's your husband's name?
Dan Steele.
Okay.
And what happened then was we got my son, and I headed to New Jersey and lived through the fear of the initial listening to the TV. And we had people wonder why we hadn't left because I was pregnant. And actually, it seemed like the rest of the country was more concerned than we were being informed right here. So proceeded to, we had decided we were going to take a job opportunity, and it didn't happen. But we were in a process of me realizing that my husband was away where he had started to work a new job, and I was pregnant back here, and I did a lot of crying. I didn't know I was very confused, and I didn't know if we were going to if the baby was okay. I had been outside the day on the Wednesday, working out in the yard, and it was just a scary time. And then what happened was we ended up, I needed to move in a positive direction. I needed to find out what happened because we were going to stay here and we were going to live here. And I couldn't live here without knowing what was going on.
How is your son's health?
My son's health is okay. It's good. He did have a speck in his eye when in fact he was very little. And I think I was going through emotional trauma so that when I was nursing him, I don't think he was getting what he needed because he just had lost weight. So there was some concern there, but it was on me and my nervousness, I think, inside that that's when I knew I needed to move forward and find out positive things and know what was going on. Because the kids, everything was the children needed to be safe, and we needed to find out what happened. I think then I hooked up with, we started with there was a group in Middletown called P.A.I.N, which was People Against Nuclear Energy in Middletown. And I started to go to those meetings and met some people there, and we were doing some litigations, psychological, we were protesting. We had a big meeting at Liberty Firehouse where the firehouse was literally overflowed because at that time they were going to expel the krypton that was in the plant. And I think this is hard now, 40-some years later, to try and remember it all. But I think the Liberty Firehouse meeting kind of gelled in me that we can move forward. And that's when I met 3 of the other girls at that time that we gathered and sat down over coffee and said we're going to be concerned mothers because that's what we are. We're concerned.